Hello everybody!
Good morning.
On this beautiful spring day.
Not.
You know, Mikey, since April Fool's is tomorrow, I mean, this almost is like a Watchtower April Fool's on the members.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guys, we've got a couple of different things here that we want to talk about. One of them is very disconcerting. We've got some information that actually dates back to comments made in 1999. Now, somebody may have already done this, but for the benefit of those Jehovah's Witnesses just waking up, just coming out, and just for the pure fact that somebody may not know this, because Kim and I didn't know this until our source sent it to us, and it's like, holy crap!
Yes, so thank you so much to our source for your research. So I guess we could say this is his video.
Yeah.
Or at least this part of it.
And, you know, to go along with the fact that the Watchtower Babel Crap Society got caught being part of the UN as an NGO member, it actually goes a whole lot deeper than that.
Well, I was going to mention, we get a lot of emails and phone calls, and so many of you say, why isn't the government doing anything here in the United States against Watchtower? And this is just another one of those little tunnels that go off in the rabbit hole of maybe this is why.
And it also goes to prove what Kim and I have been saying on this channel almost since day one. These guys in Watchtower, they know full well what they're involved with. Make no mistake about it at all, Jehovah's Witnesses, and we're going to put more proof in the pudding for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe that Kim who's studying with Jehovah's Witnesses and came after us apostates will attack us.
You mean to tell me that there's a current Jehovah's Witness, you know, arguing with what we're saying and doing and just will not, you know, open her eyes? Wait. From what the last email that you read to me from her just this morning, hey, Kim?
She found the truth.
Enjoy your baptism. Come back and see us in 10 years and tell us how the truth has changed your life.
Yeah. But I wished her well. You know, if she wants to believe it, just like all the other Jehovah's Witnesses, if they want to believe it, that is fine. You're entitled to your beliefs and your faith. But where we have the issue is the policies,
the rude awakening,
that Watchtower has that damages families and destroys people's lives. That's where our issue is, and that's why we speak out.
Well, you know, in what we have is it shows Watchtower's political connection. And it goes so deep that it wouldn't even surprise me for one moment to find out that Hillary Rodham Clinton has been involved with Watchtower. Oh wait, what's this?
You like saying that, don't you?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's almost as good as wait for it.
Either one works here. Now we want to thank the source so much for his research. And, you know, dear friend, thank you.
Well, you know what I like about so much this particular source is he makes us look good.
Well, like we said, this is his video, so I'm going to read his comments. Adding to the list of the many spirit mediums who have helped the Watchtower Society, we enter Hillary Clinton, who is known for speaking with the dead.
And we're going to put a link down below to where the then President Bill Clinton publicly acknowledges that.
Yes. Former President Bill Clinton admits this in public in one of his speeches. Like we said, we're going to put the link down below. You may recall a 1999 report, Watchtower attorney Mr. Donald Howard McLean stated to the official committee Hansard the following. Now, I'm actually going to read that here in a minute, so I'll just pause on that. You will find the names of these two Watchtower attorneys in the attached manual. McLean, Mr. Donald Howard, Director of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society of Australia.
Now remember, this is dating back to 1999.
This
So
is
that name may have changed since then.
Yeah, but at this time in 1999, at this conference, this official committee with the Australia Parliament, this is who was in charge. Now, we all know Toole.
We all know
From the
Toole.
Australian Royal Commission.
Yep.
Vincent Joseph Toole, legal officer for the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society of Australia. Now, let's go to this manual. It is from the Commonwealth of Australia Official Committee, Hansard. Now, I'm going to put the link down below to this manual. Joint Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade. This was the reference Australia's efforts to promote and protect freedom of religion and belief. Boy, they sure changed that after the Australian Royal Commission, didn't they? This was Friday, October 15th, 1999 in Sydney. Now, when you open this PDF and you type in McLean for the search, it will take you to the list of witnesses. And you will see Mr. Donald Howard McLean on page 124. So then you go to that page.
Now we want to make sure that we read the opening so that we understand what's happening here, so that there's no confusion as to who is saying what, because this is where you're going to see Hillary Clinton has got her fingers in Watchtower.
Or at least there's some support there.
Yes.
You know, we'll let you guys make the connections.
Well,
Okay, page 124. McLean, Mr. Donald Howard, Director, Watchtower and Bible Tract Society of Australia, and Mr. Vincent Joseph Toole, Legal Officer, Watchtower Bible Tract Society of Australia. Now, this is the chair saying this. On behalf of the subcommittee, I welcome representatives of Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. The subcommittee prefers that all evidence be given in public, but should you at any stage wish to give evidence in private, you may ask to do so, and the committee will give consideration to your request. Although the committee does not require you to give evidence on oath, I should advise you that these hearings are legal proceedings of the Parliament and therefore have the same standing as proceedings of the House itself. Invite you to make a short opening statement if you wish, and we will then proceed to questions. So this is his opening before, you know, the Watchtower representatives get up and speak. Okay, Mr. McLean, and it is basically a transcript of what he says. First, he says, I would like to express appreciation for coming before the committee. Most religious espouse principles of tolerance and morality, and thus the free practice of religion can promote stability within a community. Okay, now I'm going to go down to page 125.
this is still his statement.
Okay, now the last paragraph on page 125. Listen carefully what he says. From time to time, we have received support from non-government organizations, particularly in exposing the persecution. We have also received support from the American Embassy, the U.S. Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, and the President's wife, Hillary Clinton. They have received support from the President's wife, Hillary Clinton. There's more.
So as much as Watchtower bashes how Jehovah is going to destroy the governments, they sure don't mind operating on government money and or, you know, contributions or anything like this.
They'll run to Satan's world, the government, for help.
Now,
and we've said this before.
Now remember, if you've watched that video of Bill Clinton stating about his wife being a clairvoyant, then Watchtower is accepting contributions from a clairvoyant, someone who speaks with the dead.
Support.
Come on, Jehovah's Witnesses, you cannot get more plain than what we have right here, because you have a representative of Watchtower in Australia telling you that they have received support. My God.
Now I have to ask, now I don't want to get political here and take sides against, you know, this division that's going on in the U.S., but I just want to state that we all know here in the United States that the Clintons still have a tremendous amount of influence on government and how things are done. You know, she was in the Department of Secretary, you know, for years. And look at what she done this. But we know her power and her control even to this day. And she's in with the Obamas. And they still have influence. You know, i.e. Jesse Smollett. But I have to ask, inquiring minds want to know, is this why the government in this country will not go after Watchtower over their child abuse? Is because Hillary says, oh, no, they're my buddies. You know, and then we look at, you know, the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. You know, how much influence on the government does he have? You know, is he saying, oh, well, Jehovah's Witnesses are nice people? You know, just like that one studying with witnesses, that Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, you evil apostates talking against, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses. They have the truth, and they're really nice Christians. They may be. And there is some genuine, you know, good-hearted witnesses in the organization. But what is the hierarchy? The rank and file has no idea about this. We didn't know about it until this morning. You just have to ask. You know, so what the heck is going on behind the scenes? What influence does the Clintons and Watchtower have? Makes you wonder.
That's right.
All right, now we've got something else here.
Okay, was that the end of this?
Yeah. All right, we want to thank Camille for the information from the new book. This is the new book that just came out, Pure Worship of Jehovah Restored. And you can get this on jw.org.
You know what's interesting in all of this? You know, Kim and I, we've been keeping an eye on what's happening in Israel with the building of the third temple and what's kind of been going on with that. That's why we did that one video talking about that flower of life being on the side of that temple. But we're not... Altar, thank you. But we're not going to... We have chosen not to get into this too heavily because Kim and I recognize that there are a lot of other quote-unquote Christians out there pointing this stuff out. But if you're not aware of what's going on, then I would suggest typing in the building of the third temple in Israel, because there's some things going on there that are raising eyebrows among certain Christian groups.
Well, they've already chosen their 70 older men, the Sanhedrin.
Well, that's why I kind of mentioned that in the video the other day, because it just happens to go along with this article that we're going to show you, and we're going to show you the absolute and utter hypocrisy from Watchtower, and once again proving that these monkeys' asses write this crap without even recognizing or acknowledging their own history within the organization regarding this stuff. But you know what? I want to read a scripture. Get your Bibles. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to point to this. Numbers chapter 11 in verse 16. Because this whole 70 older men in the tabernacle, this is all Jehovah's arrangement. He set this up.
Goes back to Moses.
Goes back to Moses. Okay? Now when you come down to Ezekiel's day, chapter 8, starting at verse 9, and I think I gave you guys the wrong starting point in the previous video, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it.
8.
Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 9. And this is supposedly Jehovah talking to Ezekiel. And he further said to me, go in and see the detestable things that they are doing here. So I went in and I began to see, and look, there was every representation of creeping thing, and every loathsome beast, and all the dungy idols in the house of Israel. I want to stop right there for a second, because when you get a modern day picture of this Sanhedrin that has already set up, Benjamin Netanyahu has signed all the official papers to make this official. If you look in the background, they have an idol of a pomegranate. So whoever gets up and speaks, the audience is looking at the speaker, and behind him would be a dungy idol, an idol of a pomegranate. Okay? Now, it goes on to say, every reed loathsome dungy idol in the house of Israel, the carving being upon the wall all around about, and 70 men of the elderly ones in the house of Israel. Okay, they have an absolute denunciation from their alleged God denouncing this, and yet here they are setting this back up today. Now, if you people do any honest, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna,
since I interrupt you a lot.
I was just gonna say, you know, and this is what, you know, our Lord and Messiah was saying, you know, when he was here telling them this, you know, that he was doing away with all of this because it wasn't working.
Wasn't working.
They had turned it into the traditions of men, and he totally exposed the Pharisees and denounced all of this.
And here they are setting it back up today.
And here's Jehovah's Witnesses setting their religion back up in model of the first century Christians. It's like, wait a minute, you guys are basically doing the same thing.
Exactly. If you, friends, do some honest heart and mind thinking and research about this subject, you will see that every time the nation of Israel had aligned itself with a foreign power, eventually the nation of Israel had turned against that nation. Think about it.
And what's Israel doing now?
And
aligning themselves with the United States?
They've been aligned with the United States for quite some time. So is this history repeating itself, friends? I'm going to sit and wait. I'm not going to pass judgment on this because I am going to wait, because I find this absolutely intriguing of what's happening in Israel right now. And it's common knowledge that we humans do not learn from our past history, so we will repeat it. And is this another aspect, another facet of history being repeated? Because you remember, Babylon put up a vassal king. Everything was fine for a while until, you know, the Israelites said, screw this, we ain't paying your taxes no more. And then boom, Babylon destroyed them. You see the same thing in Jerusalem during Jesus' day. We have no king but Caesar. They actually proclaimed it. We have no. And then before you know it, guess what? 70 CE, boom, Rome destroys them. They also destroy the last of the Messianic Jews in Masada. Now,
in 1970 or 73 CE.
Yeah, in 73 CE, correct. So that took another 3 years. But look at what the Germans did. Boom! Incarcerated them. Tried to wipe them off the face of the earth. And those Jews were living in Germany at that time. And there's other instances regarding all of this. So if you just sit back and read and ponder and think, what in the world is going to happen now that they're setting up this Sanhedrin again?
Okay. So I want to get into this Watchtower book that they just put out.
Because it all ties together.
The Pure Worship of Jehovah, Restored at Last. Now on page 54, they're talking about these scriptures in Ezekiel that Mike was just talking about. You know, 70 elders offering incense to false gods. And they even say, even more disturbing is what Ezekiel saw next. 70 of the elders of the house of Israel were standing in the darkness and offering incense to the false gods. Under the law, the burning of sweet-smelling incense represented the acceptable prayers offered up by faithful worshipers. However, the incense that those 70 elders offered up to false gods were an unholy stench to Jehovah. Their prayers were like an offensive order to him. And it goes on to talk about, you know, these scriptures and have you seen this, Son of Man, and all of this. All right, now when you get down to page 57, it shows the 25 men bowing down to the sun. And they've got their backs to the temple and they're bowing down. Here's the picture right here.
Now this is significant that they're bowing down towards the sun. They're prostrating themselves toward the sun.
Yeah, he saw 25 men bowing down to worship the sun in the east. These men could hardly have found a way to offend Jehovah more deeply. Now, side note, I just want to find the writing in this book. They talk to you like your children. I mean, it's very simplified, grammar and sentences, and it's like, wow, they're treating you like dummies. Okay, now, paragraph 16 on this same page. Picture the scene. God's temple was built with the entrance facing east. Worshippers entering the temple would be facing west, with their backs to the rising sun in the east. But the 25 men in the vision turned their backs to the temple and faced east so that they could worship the sun. In doing so, they turned their backs on Jehovah, for that temple was the house of Jehovah. Those 25 men were apostates. They ignored Jehovah and they violated the command recorded at Deuteronomy 4:15 through 19. How they offended the God who rightly deserves exclusive devotion. Paragraph 17. What can we learn from the account of those sun worshippers? To keep our worship pure, we must look to Jehovah for spiritual enlightenment. Now, there's going to be some terms here that are like Freemason terms, so, just bear with us.
And in fact, I actually did look that scripture up there in Psalms 84:11, and that's exactly what it says right there.
Yeah. Get your New World Translation and look at Psalms 84:11. Hear the paragraph. It says, remember, Jehovah God is a sun.
Is a
S-U-N.
Sun. S-U-N.
And his word is a light for our path. And then they have Psalms 119, 105. Through his word and Bible-based publications from his organization, he illuminates our hearts and minds, showing us how to follow a course that leads to a satisfying life now and to everlasting life in the future. If we were to look instead to the world for enlightenment on how to live,
you mean like
or
Hillary,
go to them for support,
like Hillary Rodham Clinton?
we would be turning our backs on Jehovah. Your own literature says you're not relying on your God Jehovah. You're turning to Satan's world and governments and ones like Clinton and, the U.S. Embassy and all of those. You're turning your back on Jehovah. Such a course would deeply offend him, causing him much pain of heart. We would never want to do that to our God. Ezekiel's vision is also a warning for us to avoid those who turn their backs on the truth, namely apostates. Well, then why didn't you turn your back on the support of Hillary Clinton, who talks to the dead?
Why did you accept that?
Who is in with spirit mediums?
You can't get any more plainer than this, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Paragraph 18.
Oh, but see, the problem is, this is just apostate lies.
This is right from your own book. Go to jw.org and, get it. Paragraph 18. As we have seen thus far, Ezekiel witnessed 4 shocking scenes of idolatry and false worship that revealed the depth of apostate Judah's, or aka Watchtower's, spiritual defilement. By becoming spiritually unclean, those Israelites, also Watchtower, damaged the relationship between the nation and God. So you're just damaging your relationship with your God, Jehovah.
See, now, where are you going to go with this one? Because you're going to go to this one next right here, sweetie?
Yes.
Okay, so, bear in mind, friends, bear in mind that they have turned their back to Jehovah's temple, and now they were bowing down to the sun in the east.
Okay.
Now,
what's the connection?
What's the connection, guys? Now, remember, you've got to use your noodle a little bit.
Yes.
And I was a researcher on the Watchtower's history book. And would it be possible for me and the rest of the group to tour the property? The owner was very nice, and he said, sure. He said, tour the grounds, it would be fine. Well, upon our entering the garage with the rest of the group, the owner and I began to talk about Rutherford. I asked, amongst other things, where was the hillside crypt that the judge was supposed to be buried in, before the San Diego County Commission said no. He pointed in the direction where, later on, we saw a small building. And then he asked if I knew where Rutherford was really buried. I said, of course, yes, in Staten Island, New York. He said, no way. He was very emphatic. He said, you are standing on him. I laughed. I looked down. I looked around. We all had quizzical looks on our face, I'm sure. And he said, I mean it. You're standing on the judge. They didn't want him in New York. And so his followers buried him in this garage. The concrete was poured over him. I asked him how he knew, and he said Jehovah's Witnesses, older Jehovah's Witnesses who were connected closely with Rutherford and participated in the burial, told him after he had purchased the house. Then he pointed in the distance and he told us that when he bought Bethsarim, there were 7 small cabins located on the property where the judge kept his women. And if we walked over to the area, he said we could still see the foundation slabs of concrete where the cabins were. Well, we really laughed. Well, we were embarrassed. We didn't know what to say, so I changed the subject. I asked him if he would take a minute and show us around. He said, oh no, you all go on by yourselves. Go and look inside the house. I said, oh no, we can't do that. He said, oh no, you go on in, make yourself at home. Oh, we were just delighted. However, we were so stunned at the revelations we had heard, we could hardly stop talking about them, and so we didn't look as carefully inside the house as we should have. I remember it was very spacious. It was a very well-built house. We toured the grounds, we saw the swimming pool, and the small building on the hillside that was intended for Judge Rutherford's crypt.
All right, I have the 1942 Consolation, May issue, page 6. Wow.
See, and here again, I refer back to the statement. These guys know what they're doing. Go ahead and read it, sweetie.
All right. Now, we know that Rutherford wanted to be buried at Bethsarim there in San Diego. And there was, a lot of back and forth with the, city basically, because you can't turn your backyard into a cemetery, without permission and permits and all of that. In editing this, it dawned on us, wait a tick, according to the owner at that time making this statement to Barbara Anderson about Rutherford being buried in the garage there, does that mean they buried him illegally then and just dumped cement on top of him? Because if there was this fight going on between, the city and stuff over his crypt, and as you've seen, that was a picture of the crypt that's in our archives.
So then, like Jimmy Hoffa, where the hell is Rutherford really buried?
Well, according to the owner, he's buried underneath the garage floor.
Yep.
Weird. So, but here on page 6, second column, the first full paragraph, right above the subheading over there. Judge Rutherford looked for the early triumph of the King of the East, Christ Jesus, now leading the host of heaven, and he desired to be buried at dawn facing the rising sun in an isolated part of the ground which would be administered by the princes who should return from their graves. Even his burial request was a token of faith. Now we know the princes he's talking about are the ones that he thought was going to be resurrected at that time, to live at Bethsarim.
Yeah, but the whole key issue here is that he wanted to be buried at dawn facing
the sun.
Look at the picture, facing, bowing to the sun. You can't get any more of a dot connected to apostates than this picture in the Watchtower Babel Crap Society.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because when you go on the subheading, first location denied by the commission, it says, Rutherford buried at dawn facing the rising sun in an isolated part of the ground which would be administered by the princes who should return from their graves. Even his burial request was a token of faith. Now we know the princes he's talking about are the ones that he thought was going to be resurrected at that time, to live at Bethsarim.
Weird.
You know, because many Jehovah's Witnesses don't know this. Between the time of his death and the first public hearing before the Planning Commission 16 days later, the enemy had busied themselves to get 259 property owners, a few of them neighbors, to Beth Sarim to sign a petition opposing the burial of the judge's body on the site selected. The location first plotted for the small cemetery, which cemetery it was claimed by the enemy, the law required even for a single burial, was on a knoll about 300 feet from the house, almost 100 feet below in the canyon, and entirely invisible from every house in Kensington Heights. So you see, and he was looking for the triumph of the King of the East, Christ Jesus, the host of heaven, and wanted to be buried at dawn when the sun is rising, facing the rising sun.
Well then, really, Watchtower, instead of calling these guys apostates and turning their back on Jehovah's Temple, couldn't they be looking towards the King of the East, Jesus Christ? I mean, after all, the way the scriptures are written, the Old Testament points solely to Jesus Christ, so that's all these apostates are doing. Right, Watchtower?
Yeah. Now, I just want to mention here our source. He has the 1995 Awake also, May 8th, page 27. I've actually got the bond volume here. And the article is, What is the Meaning of Life? And over on page 27, the first full paragraph, says, in writing the Bible book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon informed the readers of the results of an experiment that he conducted to illuminate the purpose of life. It was an experiment in opportunities to enjoy life that fit a typical king of the ancient East. And you guys all know that. He painted a life of pleasure that is hardly conceivable today, and he tried everything that life offered in the way of material riches and fleshly pleasures. Now, the source mentions this is exactly what Rutherford did also. It says, how appropriate for the constellation to use the term King of the East. Does this agree with the Awake magazine description of the King of the East? 1995 Awake, that's the one I just read. King of the Ancient East. So King Solomon was referred to as the King of the East. So is it King Solomon or Jesus Christ? But he brings out King of the Ancient East in chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. See, and that is talking about 1 Kings, chapter 10. It says, sun worship and the pleasures of life. Now that was Rutherford in a nutshell. The constellation describes Jesus Christ was the King of the East, while the Awake says that King Solomon was the King of the East. He goes, I need a drink.
They don't even recall what they've written. They don't even recall their own history. They're just nothing but a publishing company, Watchtower Babble Crap Society, babble, 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 crap, 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 masking as a religion and pretending that they're the only true religion on earth. They'll tell you that you can't have anything to do with the world. I mean, oh my goodness, if you are a current Jehovah's Witness and you get caught going to the YMCA just to use a swimming pool, you're going to get chastised because you don't want to be part of Babylon the Great, but yet they've got their stinky hands right out there to accept whose ever donation comes along, even if it's from a clairvoyant Hillary Clinton. What a bunch of hypocrites. Hypocrites.
Exactly. So I know there was a lot of information in here. You may possibly have to go back and rewatch this. I'm going to put the link down below to the Australian Parliament Committee book. So I'm going to put the link down below to this booklet and check it out. I mean, just do your search for Clinton and or McLean, and you'll see all of this. It was representatives of Watchtower. This is the official document. It's not us saying. And because they admit, I know we've been harping on this, but because they admit they got support from Hillary Clinton, the president's wife, who is a spirit medium and talks to the dead, then you have to ask, why why would they even bring this up? That's what you got to ask. Because, I mean, how many are going to read this booklet? And, I mean, didn't it dawn on them? Oh, no, they didn't.
No.
That apostates would get a hold of this book.
Back in 1999, you know, the internet was just in its infancy age. No one ever dreamed in their wildest dreams or wildest imaginations that the internet would blossom to what it is today.
Yes. And then, like I said, it makes me question, is this why it is so difficult to get legislation changed for the survivors of child abuse, you know, in this country? Because, well, we've all heard about Hillary and her alleged, you know, pedophile ring. So, you know, why would they want to, you know, go after Watchtower and their child abuse problem when it might expose them? But I think, personally, I think this is exposes Hillary and Watchtower.
They're all on the same page, guys. They're all on the same page.
You know, it just brings up a whole bunch of questions now. We don't have the answers. We don't know. But we have a lot of questions, and I think it's within our rights to start asking these questions. You know, get this booklet. Turn to that page. Go ask your elders.
Oh, they're just as ignorant as most Jehovah's Witnesses are to this. And then when you do bring it up, what are you doing with that apostate material? If you don't get rid of that apostate material, we're going to have to disfellowship you.
Well, they won't even go watch the clip of Bill Clinton saying his wife, you know, is a spirit medium talking to, you know, the dead president's wife. So, like I said, this rabbit hole known as Watchtower goes deep, and it goes in all different directions. They are like a huge octopus that have their tentacles in everything. Mm-hmm. And it's all connected.
Snare and a racket, guys.
Yeah.
It's a snare and a racket. You know, the guy that got buried facing east knew it was a snare and a racket. That's why he coined it, and that's why he was so effective in using it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is I think you mentioned in the previous video that some of Watchtower's teachings is actually Gnosticism.
Well, it is.
Isn't this what, you know, being buried at dawn facing the east would be?
I mean, it's, for me, friends, it's just as plain as the nose on anybody's face what the hell's going on here. It really is. But, you know, I've got to be real careful because of, you know, certain ones, you know, in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community that are the ex-Jehovah's Witness thought police.
Yeah, well, they're trying their best on social media to convince everybody that we're evil and not to watch our videos. And so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know what?
So good. So, hey, guys, so just go ahead and leave your comments in the comment section for the ex-Jehovah's Witness thought police.
Well, the thing is, you know, we do get good information sometimes, so they miss out on all of this.
Well, yeah, because, you know, they choose to unsubscribe, and they're probably not going to have any idea that this is out there now.
Yeah, exactly. So please share this, and, you know, it is what it is.
But just remember, only like and subscribe if you can do it without getting caught by your Jehovah's Witness family. This is what we've always said. We don't arbitrarily tell you guys, hey, don't forget to, you know, click the subscribe button or the like button, or, you know, click that little bell for, you know, notifications. No, we don't want anybody to do that unless you can certainly hide all of this social media connecting of the dots to everything back to your Jehovah's Witness friend and family. You don't want to do that.
Well, our buddy from Pennsylvania, you know, he couldn't even watch videos on his phone because his wife checks his phone to see what he's up to. Well, then he found out from the people at work that you can go incognito on a lot of your smartphones and social media. So, you know, you can do that and at least watch them. But don't subscribe, you know, if anybody's going to catch you.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught if you're not ready to out yourself. So be very, very careful.
So thank you to our sources. And we appreciate your research so much. And I think you guys just like to see us work on Sundays.
Yeah. Give us a break, please.
No, no.
Well, actually, are we about ready to wrap this up? Because I'm ready to go make another Kydex holster for one of my pistols.
Yes, Mikey has work. Oh, you know what though?
Oh, you mean there's more?
There's more. So you Jehovah's Witnesses who like to read Watchtower literature to your kids and indoctrinate them, and I noticed a comment under one of our videos, several of our videos, at JW, they're like, oh, cartoons like this of Caleb and Sophia don't traumatize kids about Armageddon.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
Okay, so you commenter, go read this to your kids or grandkids. This is the September 1st Watchtower, 1987, page 4, Spiritism, how viewed by God. Second column, the last paragraph. Isaac's gesticulating arms rest for a moment while he pauses meaningfully. Then he continues, for a while all looked well, but then a scream broke the silence. We rushed to the house where it came from and saw the leader's wife. She was crying hysterically. Inside the house we found her little daughter, her head facing backward. Some force had wrung and broken her neck, killing her like a chicken. Apparently the revenge of that ousted spirit. Sickening. Those spirits are sadistic murderers. So you go read your kids this and scare them that if they don't obey the organization,
They got their necks wrong.
then the group of demons are going to twist their head and kill them. Yeah, tell them that before bed and see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, heavy sarcasm there. It's like, wow. Yeah, scare the hell out of the poor little kids, traumatize them. So you all have a great week, and we love you.
God bless.
Bye.